welcome back to this week's hashtag Finance Friday. And this month we have been talking all about fear of failure because this is a really big and relevant topic, especially in the space of running your own business. And I'm very excited to have Tanya Van De Water back here with us today. And she's going to be sharing a little bit about her experience with fear of failure and all sorts of other interesting things. So as you guys know, she is our people ops person. She's based in, I almost said Port Elizabeth, but no, she is based in Galway in Ireland. So I'm really excited just to have an opportunity to chat to her again. Tanya, just if you want to, just for those of our audience that don't know you yet, just go ahead and introduce yourself.
Sure. So it's good to be here again. Fortunately, today it's sunny outside, but here in Galway it's always rainy. So within People Ops, I assist with overseeing some operations, but most importantly, overseeing and supporting the staff that are doing that. But before I started here with UPvisor, while I was still in South Africa, I was running a private practice as a psychologist. And during the pandemic, tried many new initiatives to really try and support people with mental health needs as the pandemic really triggered many mental health issues. And as you may be aware or familiar, that they're speaking of the mental health tsunami, that we've had COVID waves, but the following wave will be a mental health wave and it will be a tsunami. So there is a giant need for more mental health services and for it to reach the right people. And fear of failure is a topic very close to my heart. It deals with fear, and fear is something I deal with on a day-to-day basis as part of my practice. So I look forward to chatting with you this morning.
Awesome. Thanks, Tanya. Well, maybe just to get us started, how do you define fear of failure? I think there are a lot of different definitions and people probably have their own definition, but how do you define it?
So I think the fear or anxiety comes on a spectrum. So you don't necessarily have a panic attack when you fail, but you could. So it depends. But the fear of failure would be that you would try to do anything in your power to avoid something from happening. And obviously nobody enjoys failing. I don't enjoy failing, but failure is very much a perspective as well. So fear of failure, like you said, is very broad, but it is the general anxiety, concern, the avoidance of activities or environments where I might not be as successful as I had planned.
Absolutely. So maybe if you would be so vulnerable as to maybe share an example of a time that you have failed, whether it's in your business life or whatever it might be, and maybe how did you deal with that or what happened? What was the outcome?
Well, the number one example I can think of is falling down the stairs on my wedding day.
That was epic.
That was epic. And now it makes a fabulous story. I know that I have people who ask me when they see the photos, was that planned? Was it staged? I'm like, no, why would you plan to fall down the stairs on your wedding day? But now it's so much fun to tell it. I display the photos with pride, and it's not necessarily a failure. It was embarrassing in the moment and wasn't according to plan, but it wasn't necessarily a failure. Another example on a more professional level, as I mentioned, we tried various initiatives when pandemic broke out in South Africa to provide accurate mental health information to the right audience. And I got involved with this lovely project that had very big dreams about how to make this information more accessible. And one of this was to partner with a local magazine, a very big brand, to get us in front of their audience, to provide webinars and interviews and write articles for their magazine as well. And we invested hours, and I mean hundreds of hours into this project with no return on investment. So we received a token from the media house as a gesture, because the plan that we had, the way that it would work, where the money would come from, etc. Because we saw the need, we saw the market. We were the professionals who could answer these questions, but there was just not enough money available, people who were willing to pay. They desperately needed it, they desperately wanted it, but they couldn't put money where their mouth was. And that was quite a painful experience. The loss to think that this is such a great product. This is such great information that needs to reach more people. I think that was the hardest. Obviously, the money part was hard as well. But the fact that we have this information, we want to share it, want to make it available, and the platforms that we were using, it just didn't work. So it was very disappointing.
That's hectic. And I'm, as you said, like, it was quite a difficult journey to go through. And it hurts when there are things that you had planned and, as you said, invested so much time and money into, and it falls flat. And you're like, well, what did I do wrong? Like, is it me? And I think that's often the reaction, right? Like, well, what did I do wrong? And maybe even like, woe is me. And why does this happen to me? And why am I the only person that this happens to? But I think it happens to everyone, right? And maybe to greater or lesser degrees, but it doesn't make it any easier to deal with or to overcome. Did you have any specific steps or like a process that you went through in terms of dealing with this? Like, was it like a grieving process that you had to go through? I don't know, like, how did you deal with this and how did you overcome that?
Yes. So it was really helpful that there were some other non-tangible benefits in terms of being in this process. I learned so much about myself, like loads about myself, but I also learned a lot about the media, how it works. We had done professional recordings. It was incredible. So we had written our scripts and we were working with the teleprompter, and there were lights and somebody doing my hair and makeup.
That's so cool.
Amazing. So that was really fun to hold on to. And something as small as it was the first time after the initial lockdown that I saw people who were not immediate family. So that in itself was also really valuable. So in terms of dealing with disappointment, it was helpful to have those kind of tangible or intangible rewards to hold on to. And to remind myself that when it didn't work out in the scale that we had anticipated and had imagined, there were still people in the audience, and I'm trusting that the people who were there were the people who needed to hear the message, and that it has opened up an avenue for future. You know, that this partnership that has started, there is still a team remaining in South Africa who was part of this project. So I'm hopeful that this partnership and trying this for a first time means that the next time will be better and that there will be future opportunities. So this failure is not something to write off, but an opportunity to learn. So that's helpful to hold on when it's sad and disappointing.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear you. Maybe just from a psychological perspective, because it's really where your specialism lies, right? I know that sometimes, just as you said, there's a lot that you learned about yourself, but I'm sure that you could only really get to that point of being able to learn things and not just about yourself, but maybe about the experience by reflecting, right? And I don't think we often do that enough. So can you maybe just share some practices with us that we can maybe use from a mindfulness perspective, or just reflection, journaling, whatever it might be? And I think you've got a little course that you would also like to share with us.
Excellent. Yes. So one of the promising ways of coping with anxiety and dealing with fear is to face it, right? So you have to face your fears, unfortunately. And one of the ways that you can do that is to learn to be present with it. So as you said, to be able to reflect on it, where we are not judgmental of it, to say, you're so scared again, or look at how you failed. It's about being non-judgmentally present. So to be with my emotions, with my thoughts, in the current moment, in the here and now. So we're actually preparing a course at the moment, an hour-long workshop that would be very, very practical, focusing on what mindfulness is and what it isn't. And we will be looking at some of the researched benefits of mindfulness, you know, the benefits in terms of weight loss, in terms of getting better from illness, in terms of mental health, of course, in terms of coping with stress and being successful, those things. And then going through a number of very practical exercises on how to help yourself to be present in the moment and overcoming those mind obstacles, the obstacles in my head that says, I can't face this thing because it would be too hard and I can't do hard things. Or the mind that says, it's too awful, it's too terrible. Or the mind that says, it's not worth it, I'll just get stuck and, go down the spiral. So I'm really addressing those thoughts that prevent us from being in the here and now. Even before this interview, I was kind of halfway preparing for the interview while reading an email on the other side. So being present is a very difficult skill to apply in a society where we are rewarded for multitasking and praised for it.
Yeah.
But it's not good for us. It's not good for our mental health. And research shows that multitasking is less productive. So that's where mindfulness comes in. And mindfulness can be very valuable in terms of dealing with fear of failure, because we will be learning how to be present and to notice and pay attention to those difficult thoughts, those difficult feelings, and watching and just noticing what they do to your body, what they do to you, and also then noticing how they transition. That's the great thing about thoughts and about feelings, is just like waves in the ocean, they come and they go. None of them are permanent. So that is something we can only learn to appreciate by being mindful, by being present, non-judgmentally present in a way. So watch this space for more information on that course coming up.
Awesome. Thanks, Tanya. I already feel a little bit calmer just by listening to you talking about mindfulness. So I'm personally very excited about the course. I think I will definitely be attending that, because, we all just need to take a moment to be present and smell the roses, as they say. But I think it's such a valuable skill to learn, and it can stand you in good stead in a lot of situations, not only like in this one when we're talking about fear of failure. So definitely transferable knowledge. So yes, as Tanya said, make sure you watch out on the space. We will be releasing more information about it as we go. Okay. Fantastic, Tanya. Thank you so much for your time. Really valuable insight that you shared with us. And thank you for being brave and willing to share about your failure. Really respect that and appreciate what you've been able to share. So thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.